This is the 2023 Mercedes GLE 350, and in today's video I'm going to be talking you through some of the features, talk about practicality, I'm going to drive it, do a little POV section, and then share whether or not I think it's worth the money or not. Before we get into the video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, turn on that bell notification. As you see below, I do lots of cool stuff on the channel and you won't want to miss out. With that said, let's get into the video. Serving as the entry model to the class, the GLE 350 starts off at $57,500. It features a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 255 horsepower and 273 foot-pounds of torque, making for a 0 to 60 of 7 seconds flat. It gets 19 miles per gallon in the city and 26 on the highway and has all-wheel drive. The GLE normally comes as a 5-passenger vehicle, but for a little bit extra, you could spec a third row of seats, making enough room for 7. On the inside of the GLE, it really truly is a nice place to be. The cabin definitely feels special. It's well laid out. I'm really a fan of the way this looks. The materials are nice and soft to the touch. You know, you have MB Tex or vegan leather wrapped around all the points where you're going to touch, except for the steering wheel. This actually is wrapped in real Napa leather. But overall, you do have nice woods. You have the aluminum Burmester speaker grills. Just really adds to the cabin and giving it a nice luxury feel. Moving on to the driver's information center, you do have a dual screen setup as we've seen from Mercedes for many years at this point. You have 2 touch pads on the steering wheel, which allow you to control both the driver's information center and the infotainment system. But let's talk about some of the customization that you'll see with the driver's information center. So one cool thing is you do have multiple themes. You have classic, sport, progressive, and understated, which is pretty cool. We'll go back to classic right now just to keep things simple and easy to follow. You can see the theme changes there. You could display various things in the center here, vehicle information. If you want, you bump over to the right here and you could change what's displayed in the right circle right there. You can see you have your map. And moving on to the infotainment system, you can control it one of 3 ways. You have the touchpad down here, which everybody's grown used to. You have, once again, the pad on the steering wheel, so you never have to take your hands off the wheel. Only Mercedes does this. And you can touch the screen as well. This is Mercedes Benz UX. It's their newest software, and it comes with things like, say, their virtual assistant. You say, "Hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
Change the ambient lighting color to red."
Okay, I'm changing the color.
And right away it picks it up. Honestly, it's definitely, in my opinion, the best in a car right now. Other virtual assistants I've used in other brands just simply aren't that great, in my opinion. Mercedes definitely has done a good job with it. The overall layout, everything just really flows nicely. The software looks appealing, the graphics are amazing, and you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available as well. One thing that I will point out though is, even though this does have Apple CarPlay, it is cut off and has borders. It's been like this since this generation GLE came out, which just kind of cheapens the look a bit, and I don't know why Mercedes hasn't fixed this, because it's been like this since this generation came out. And in other Mercedes, it fills up the whole screen. Like in the E-Class, it fills up the whole screen. I don't know why they're doing this in this car. Another thing I'd like to point out is this does have self-park and a 360-degree camera, which, you know, everybody's kind of used to at this point, but I feel that Mercedes does do one of the better 360-degree cameras in the business. I also do like that Mercedes has kept both the ability to control the HVAC controls through the infotainment system, as well as with physical buttons that have a nice clicky sound to them. Definitely satisfying. You can see here, you got that. And as you go hot to cold, the ambient lighting does change from red to blue. That is a pretty cool touch. In the back is very comfortable, definitely no complaints here. I have the seat set the way I had it when I was up front driving, and you can see, look at how much knee room I have. Headroom is great, no complaints there. You could easily fit full-size adults and be comfortable on longer trips. And you do get a very generous sized trunk as well. You can see my camera box back here fits perfectly with plenty of room to spare. It's a little bit messy, I know, you'll have to excuse me on that, but you do get 33 cubic feet of cargo storage in the rear, and if you need more, you can put down the second row of seats. If I had to sum up the GLE in one word, it would be comfortable. Now, what I really love about this is how isolated I feel from the road. I'm up high. The suspension is buttery smooth. I mean, really, you don't really feel the road much at all. The seats are nice and soft and supple. You sink down into them. They're not firm. And it's so quiet in here. It really is a luxurious experience, especially paired with the awesome Burmester sound system. I know I didn't really touch on that earlier, but I turned it on once I started driving a bit and was really impressed with the audio quality and the rich depth of the bass. However, one thing really stood out to me right away, and that was the abrupt start-stop function. It just wasn't smooth at all, and I've experienced this in a few four-cylinder Mercedes where when the engine starts back up, it's really intrusive and annoying, so I shut that off right away. Now, Mercedes has introduced EQ boost technology in a few models with four cylinders, and the start-stop function is absolutely seamless in those cars. So hopefully they do introduce that to the GLE as well soon. But getting back to the car, the second point that I'll make is specifically with the GLE 350. This is their four-cylinder motor. The next trim up, the GLE 450, comes with a V6, and that has a lot more power. I feel like that the four-cylinder really isn't enough to get this car out of its own way, and I'm not even saying that like this is a sports car, you know, or a sporty SUV, it needs more power. I'm not even saying it from that standpoint. I just feel like you have to use a lot of what this engine can provide to really get this out of the way, off the line. You know, if you have to get on the highway, you basically have to floor the car every time. I feel like part of a luxury driving experience is having enough power where the vehicle feels effortless in its acceleration, and that's definitely not the case with the four-cylinder. So if that's something that you think would bother you as well, I would definitely recommend going for the next trim level up. But the GLE as a platform overall, I'm really enjoying. I mean, like, once you get going, the ride is so smooth. I mean, it's so comfortable. It really is comfortable. Compared to my daily driver, my S-Class Coupe, it kind of just feels similar to that, but higher up, which no complaints there. Now we're going to switch to a point of view driving experience to help you kind of get a better feeling of what it's like to sit behind the wheel of one of these. All right, now for the POV portion of our drive. Getting behind the wheel of the GLE, one of the first impressions you'll definitely have is that this isn't a SUV that wants to be hustled around corners. However, you can carry speed confidently throughout them. There's no excessive body movement or body roll. It just has a buttery, silky, smooth, luxurious ride. Flip it over into eco mode. You can see one of the cool things here is as the car is coasting, it actually disengages from gear. You put your foot back on the throttle and you can see it goes back into gear. Pretty neat little feature to save gas. Put it over into sport mode. You see it does drop a few gears. Shifts are pretty quick, definitely adequate for what kind of car this is. As I said earlier, this engine doesn't really have that much power, so I don't really see many people using the paddle shifters other than to maybe hold a gear if you're trailering something or towing something. Another cool thing this has is Distronic Plus, which if you turn on the cruise control, you set your speed, it'll show you down here that it's recognizing the lines on the road. And let's see, it should start steering itself now. Okay, you can see hands-free there. Let's just see how well the lane tracking is with their software. Oh, I didn't touch it there, but I was a little late. Not too confidence inspiring. Hang on, we'll give it another shot. I won't intervene. Let's see. It's doing a pretty good job right now. One cool thing is if you hit this switch, you could set the distance you want this to keep away from the car in front of you. Again, not intervening. It's actually lane tracking fairly well. It's just not too confidence inspiring overall. I would probably only use this system on the highway because I noticed a lot of these self-driving features don't really work very well on back roads, but I actually have Distronic Plus in my S-Class, and on the highway it's flawless, especially when you're sitting in traffic. So let's get down to my verdict. Should you buy the GLE 350 or pass on it? I would say pass on the 350 trim. I really like the GLE as an overall experience, and I think that the next trim level up with the V6 would make a huge difference in my opinion on the GLE. I just think that the 350 trim with the 4-cylinder just doesn't have enough power to really make this feel like a true luxury experience, because it feels like it's kind of always struggling to get out of its way, and it's, you know, shifting gears constantly, you know, always trying to stay in a lower gear, and it's noisy and annoying. Whereas an engine with a bit more power wouldn't have to rev out to kind of get going. But with that said, if it's not within your budget, I don't think that having the 4-cylinder completely ruins the experience. It's just something that I would prefer having. But objectively speaking, overall, I think that the GLE is a great luxury experience. It's not trying to be a sporty SUV, and I like that because there's so many SUVs today that are trying to pull off 3 roles in one when they shouldn't be. An SUV is about comfort, and the GLE makes you aware of that in every sense, from how comfortable the seats are, the driving position, how wide and spread out it is, how quiet it is. And I think it really delivers on that front. That sums things up for the GLE. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out on next week's video. Before we go, I'd like to say a special thanks to my friends down at Mercedes Benz of Fairfield, Connecticut for providing today's car. They're an awesome, super friendly group of people to work with, and if you're in the area, be sure to check them out. I'm going to leave a link to their contact info in the description below. And with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.